friends? Welcome back. My name's Ramon. How are you today? So recently I felt a lot of judgment and a lot of really negative energy coming from other content creators, honestly, in regards to brands specific creators want to associate with, brands I personally associate with. It kind of came to a point where I saw a creator say, oh, if you support such and such brand, you lose credibility to me and I've lost respect in you. And I'm just like, oh. It's really not that deep, love. Like, chill out. So we're gonna talk about that today. The whole concept of brand ethics, where as creators and consumers, we can fall into aligning with a brand or choosing not to support a brand. And also as content creators, the matter of fact of us accepting money, getting paid collaborations with brands, and where that falls in terms of being able to trust our opinions. But before we get into it, I'm gonna ask that you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and fancy related content on my channel. Give me a thumbs up and down below in the comments. Honestly, to sound off in general, this is a very conflicting topic. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on it, and obviously people's opinions are what got me starting this video in the first place. So yeah, sound off. So first and foremost, let's focus on brand ethics and how consumers can align with certain brands and choose to support certain brands and the power of the consumer dollar, but also as content creators, who we personally choose to align with and the black and white versus gray area of ethics. So again, this whole thing got started because I saw someone post that, oh, if you support such and such brands, I lose respect for you as a creator. I question your credibility, which I was like, damn, it's really not that deep. Especially because I think what it comes down to is people's association with brands, people's personal perspective on a brand's ethics, but then projecting that onto other people without, I think, really considering the other people's personal ethics and how those align with brands and the reason why we choose to work with certain brands in the first place. Here's the tea. You can choose to align your personal ethics with a brand's ethics for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, big ones right now are like clean beauty and sustainability, as well as social justice and what certain companies are doing to address obviously the needs for inclusivity and that kind of stuff right now in the current political climate. And then you also have people who align with brands because of the brand skin philosophy, as well as the brand's approach to how they make, create, and market skincare. And that's okay. Like, you can choose to align with a brand for a lot of different reasons. Oftentimes, again, it's black and white or it's very gray area where ethics lie and whatnot. But what I will say is no brand is 100% perfect. Point blank, period. Any brand that you can think of that you might personally have a positive opinion on, someone can have negative opinion on, and vice versa. It's just how it is. And that goes for brands in all sectors of the consumer space, whether it's beauty, like Perito, Naturium, food, like McDonald's, or even other retail space or manufacturers like Apple or Walmart. Like, you probably go shop at or patron any of those things I just mentioned, and I can definitely mention a couple negative things or positive things about all of those. It's just very subjective matter as to where ethically these brands lie and if these brands are ethical in any and all senses of the word. And it becomes a matter of weighing the pros and cons, seeing the negative ethical impacts of those companies as well as the positive ethical impacts of those companies, and where those weigh in for you personally, for you to choose which one you're going to support. And it can sometimes be a very gray area for certain things, but sometimes it could also be a very, very black and white issue. And those are the times where you're going to be like, I do not support these companies. And for me personally, that comes to a matter of racism, prejudice, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, human rights violations. Like, those to me, very black and white, and I will definitely choose not to support a brand very openly because of that. But then there's also, like, again, more of these gray area issues, and I think that's what this situation kind of boils down to more so. And then I think what really bothers me is that when there's this holier than thou attitude from these other people, whether it's consumers or creators, being like, oh, well, you support this brand, I'm better than you because you choose to support this brand. And it's kind of like a, well, just because you have your ethical issues with this company and there's kind of gray area and I think otherwise, doesn't mean I have to lose credibility as a result of that. And then it becomes a matter of, again, considering your own personal issues and understandings and opinions on ethic and ethical practices, and then not necessarily projecting that onto other people. And there's a lot of brands I personally do not support that I do see a lot of other creators support. And for me, that's perfectly fine. I do not lose respect. I don't think any less of them, just because my own personal issues with those brands, with those companies is, again, in that more gray area. And I'll talk about some examples. First and foremost, Naturium. And Naturium is actually a brand I support that some people do not support. And I can completely understand why. But for me, I see what the issue was with Naturium, which for me becomes a little bit more of a, let's talk about the other things and how that aligns with my own more personal ethical practices. When I create content for Glow by Ramon, first and foremost, what matters to me is inclusivity and accessibility. Are the brand's products intended for a wide range of skin types, or do they target a more marginalized, less focused on demographic group? And are those products accessible? Can you easily get them, and or are they affordable? And so Naturium for me really aligns in that fact, more so because they also focus on really high quality, very innovative formulation that's also very elegant, but it's really easy for you to get. It's very attainable, and a lot of different people can use their products. And for me, that's why I choose personally to highlight Naturium on this channel. I love what they do. They align perfectly with my ethical practices. And again, I can understand why some people choose not to support them. I completely respect that opinion, but just because I support them and you don't doesn't mean you have to think any negatively of me. There's other brands who do negative things that I choose not to support. Doesn't mean I'm not going to support creators who support those brands. And for example, that can be things like Biossance. If you guys haven't seen my video on the Biossance mineral sunscreen, I read the brand to filth because I thought that the job the I think educational director did in talking about the product and explaining the ingredients was so wrong. So much misinformation. Not only that, the marketing behind the sunscreen for me was just a miss completely. They showed product usage inaccurately. They really hyped up really wrong messages about how to use the product. They basically were showing people of deeper skin complexions using a small, insignificant amount, and it's kind of like, A, this is false, but also B, you're telling people you only need such a small amount of sunscreen. So just based off that alone, I don't like the brand. I choose not to use the brand or mention the brand on this channel. I can recognize Biossance has great products, especially products that I do like and actually have mentioned on this channel. But due to that, it just doesn't align with what I want to do on this channel. And I'm not going to mention the brand on this channel. Another brand I just talked about, Supergoop. Very similar situation. They are one of those clean beauty brands that kind of relies on fear mongering and misinformation. Severely overpriced for no real reason in my mind. Not talking about on this channel. They do have great products. Last brand, Drunk Elephant. I've talked about this as well at length on my channel. A lot of misinformation behind the brand, a lot of things I just don't like about the brand. Too expensive for no reason. It just does not align with what I want to do on this channel. And with all those brands, just because they don't align with what Glow by Ramon's about, doesn't mean they're bad brands necessarily. Doesn't mean they really did this really severely, objectively unethical thing and thus they should be canceled. That's not the matter. It's just, I don't want to support them personally. I don't want to support them on my channel. That's that. But in that regard, again, I can recognize they have great products, and a lot of other creators that I'm friends with have collaborated, oftentimes shout out these products and these brands. That doesn't mean they're bad creators or they're not worth trusting anymore, because again, those products, those brands align with what they personally like, what they personally want to talk about on their channels in their content, and that's perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with that, and it just means that we have our own opinions, and I guess what it comes down to is opinion. And another thing this ties into is canceling brands, and I don't necessarily believe in canceling brands. I believe in not choosing to support brands anymore, but I also believe in holding brands accountable, and that's really important. I feel like when a brand does something wrong, I think having them acknowledge what they did, but also having them come up with a solution, but more importantly, making sure that they stick and actually follow through with that solution is very important. Making sure that their actions are not performative. Case in point, all the stuff that went down back in May and June with Pull Up or Shut Up, and a lot of brands posting the black square, talking about how, oh, we're going to focus on diversity, hiring more Black executives and employees, and really focusing on including different minority groups in our marketing and advertising. And you have brands that actually followed through with that. And then you have other brands who pretty much deleted any trades that they participated in that and or have really fallen through on their promises. In those situations, we really have to hold a brand accountable, and therefore that becomes a little bit more of leaning into that black and white area of ethics, because in that regard, you really want to see a brand sticking true to their word, and they're not. And again, I do believe in the power of the consumer dollar. If you choose not to support a brand and they do something very ethically wrong, and it can be objectively made into a situation where a lot of people really boycott a brand in order to make a point and to get the brand to follow through on a promise, that's a really powerful thing, and I do believe in that. But when it comes to your own personal opinions on a brand and how that falls into your own personal ethics compared to someone else's, that's where it gets a little bit weird. Next point I want to talk about though is influencer ethics and how to trust influencers, kind of going off of some stuff that's happened more recently again. I was watching a creator's video, and that creator made the very bold statement of being like, oh, well, you can trust me over other creators because I don't accept money from brands. To which I'm like, because the tea behind that is there's a lot of just fallacy in that statement. There's a lot of things that are just, it's a very multifaceted point. First and foremost, I'm a creator. I'm a content creator. For me personally, I'm a student going to school in London. I'm an international student. I pay rent. I got to pay bills. I buy a lot of skincare because I got to do reviews. I need to make income in some regard because right now it's COVID. As an international student / living in London during COVID, I can't get a job. With that, I'll also be blatantly transparent in the fact that AdSense is not a lot. I'm a small channel. At this point, I just broke 8,000 subscribers. AdSense is not crazy. Plus y'all complain when I put too many ads in a video. So, but you have to come up with other ways to making income, and collaborating with brands, working with brands is really, I don't want to say like lucrative, but it's really good at generating income. But here's the tea. Just because I choose to take money from a brand does not in any way mean that my opinion, my words, whatever I'm expressing in that video is inaccurate or in any way biased, because Two main reasons. First and foremost, it's either I'm working with brands personally that I wanted to work with for a very long time. And that went from my Boscia collab, that went from my Sunday Riley collaboration. But also on the other hand, it's just because it's brand I've tried products from and therefore have agreed, okay, I do want to do this collaboration with you. I agreed that I want to mention your products because I trust and like this brand wholeheartedly. And that goes for the collaboration I've done with Naturium, that's gone with the collaboration I've done with Indeed Lab, as well as a few other collabs I have coming up in the future. Stay tuned. And the other tea with this is that the person that was making this claim that you could trust them more because they don't take money, they are a skincare enthusiast. They are no way a professional X, Y, or Z in the industry, whether it's an esthetician, dermatologist, formulator. There's no tea behind that statement necessarily, but it's also, then where do you stand when it comes to actual industry professionals like me, who I'm in my cosmetic formulation program after years of studying biochemistry, or estheticians or dermatologists who actively work in the field and are experts in the skincare field who do take money from brands. Like, where do you think you're somehow in any way any more righteous than them, any more trustworthy, any more accurate, right, or more informative than them? That becomes a very black and white area to make bold statements like that. And again, no, not knocking them in any way, shape, or form. All of us started out as skincare enthusiasts in some way, shape, or form. That's how I kind of got into it. And I took my love for science and developed that into actually pursuing it as a career, going through this cosmetic sciences program to hopefully work in research and development, product development field in the skincare industry. Something to more reinforce this point is the fact that if you actively follow someone, that means you support them. You actively watch their content because you built a relationship with them in some capacity and you like to watch their content. You trust them. Therefore, if you trust the people that you're subscribed to, just because they are doing sponsored collabs with people does not mean in any way, shape, or form that the information that they're relaying is in any way, shape, or form, hopefully, more inaccurate than anything else they present in their content. Again, we need to make money somehow. So if you see someone doing a paid collab with a brand, really consider if you trust this person, does their background or anything they do with their content really reinforce the information they're saying and thus make you trust them, or on the contrary, does it make you want to distrust them because it goes against something that they said before? Another thing to point out is that if you watch specific creators consistently, oftentimes it's because it's less so the information they're relaying necessarily, but more so because you just like to watch those creators for the entertainment value. Case in point, James Welsh. I love James's videos. I've watched his videos for years now and they're so educational. I learned so much and I've learned a lot of things about different brands, different skincare products. But more so, besides being educational, I just love watching James's videos because his voice is so soothing. Like, I'll have his videos playing in the background while I'm getting ready for bed or cleaning the house, and I just like having his videos play for the entertainment value, fundamentally. I just also happen to learn things sometimes. So all that being said, final thoughts for this video is, again, when it comes to brand ethics and who creators choose to work with, sometimes it's a very gray area and you have to really consider, just because you have your own personal ethical opinions about a brand doesn't mean you got to project that on someone else, and also doesn't mean that person is in any way wrong or that you're in any way more righteous than them because you have your own opinion. Again, sometimes I think a bigger ethical problem is that self-righteousness, that I am better than thou attitude. Get off your high horse, boo. You ain't any more special than I am. And then the other point is, trust that if an influencer is doing a paid collaboration with the brand, that the information they're portraying is unbiased. They're working with that brand because they choose and they want to, and that they actually do like the products. That being said, if a person that you support is doing a paid collaboration, you don't need to buy the product in order to support them and show support for that collaboration. Engage with the video, like it, comment, share it. That's going to do a lot to support the creator beyond just paying the money to buy the products they're talking about. And with that, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. In the comments down below, stand off on your opinions because I know this is a very hot topic, but more so just be very open-minded. Do not get argumentative up in these comments, please, because I will delete them. Be open-minded to what other people are saying, taking other opinions from people. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and fancy related content on my channel. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye.